Bridget Farias Gates, and I'm playing a Vixen and an attendant.
Great.
Gothic romance is like my favorite genre of all time. I love everything about it, and I've always loved the story of Dracula, and I love vampires, and I love Melissa, and so I just thought, I know this is going to be a great group that she'll get put together for this, and so I really wanted to be a part of it. Line work. I also really like to journal as the character, and sort of sketch and doodle, not really in-depth journaling, but just sort of surface sketching, doodling, how is the character different than I am, and how is the character similar to myself, and then specifically for this show, physicality, what is my Vixen, how is she different now that she's a vampire compared to when she was a human, and how does she move, is it animalistic, or is it still more human, or that kind of thing. Probably the most challenging aspect, honestly, if I'm going to be really honest, has been getting out of my head about my age or my ideas of my own personal sexuality. So when I got cast, I was oh, but I'm I was worried I wouldn't get cast because I'm too old, or I'm not the right size or whatever, and it's gonna be a younger cast or whatever. So it's been really freeing, just getting out of my head and being I can be whatever I want to be for this character, and there are no sort of preconceptions. Yeah. But that was challenging at the beginning,
right?
At the very beginning, especially after callbacks and stuff, and just seeing all the other women that were there, and just sort of getting out of my head about that, and trusting Melissa that she cast me for a reason, I think it's just the story, that it's, people are familiar with Dracula, but most people know the movie, the Gary Oldman movie, and might know a little bit about the book, but I think this is such a great retelling that's really true to the book. And so I think it's just a great representation of what Gothic romance is, and I think audiences will be really more informed of what the real story, or the, not real story, but the original book, what it really was more like. Oddly enough, even though my attendant is such a small part, I do not think she and I would get along.
Okay.
The one line she has is so sort of vague, and she doesn't take any responsibility.
Oh.
And it's such a brief little thing, but that for it to be her one line, it's the only moment that we have about her, and I'm oh, I don't like that.
No.
I think I probably would get along with the Vixen, other than for her trying to suck my blood part.
Right.
Yeah. Other than that little thing,
yeah.
Probably pre-Vixen, I think I would have gotten along with the person.
That she used to be.
Yes.
Great.
To be prepared to enjoy the classic story, but also to embrace it for all of the cheesiness that the classic story has, to come in knowing that this is Dracula. It's not some sort of more heightened, more artistic version of the story. I mean, I think it is a very artistic production of it, but the story does have cheesy elements, and it's vampires and lovers, and so I think if people come in fully ready to embrace that, then they're going to just have a really great time.
Nice.
The original book, what it really was more like. So.
With a couple tweaks.
With a couple tweaks, yes.
Yeah.
Interesting ones. You don't want to give it away.
Right, but ones I like.
Yes. Yeah, I bet you do.
Yeah.